Who hears this sound? I'm so happy to be here with John this morning. Lovely to have John, our other founding member of the serviceship team. So many of you have joined Morning Light over the past 2 years, and while we've offered you a warm welcome, some of you haven't had an orientation to the forms of this particular practice community. One way that we learn about the form is through watching, through observing, watching our practice leaders and senior practitioners simply demonstrate the form in our moment-to-moment behaviors. Another way that we communicate the form is by outlining our practice forms and explaining why we practice these forms. So today I want to share our practice forms, share why we cherish the form, and share why and how practicing the form can be a source of great joy and happiness. And I make this promise to you: if you hold the form will hold you. We're a Thich Nhat Hanh Sangha. We practice in community with the practice forms of the Plum Village tradition, which were established by Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's important to remember that Thai himself received these practice forms from his teachers, who were taught the practice forms by their teachers, and so on, back for generations. So today we come together to cherish the form. To cherish the form means to appreciate. In our tradition, we appreciate the form and we understand its value, and we celebrate that value by embracing the form. My teacher, Eileen, often said to us, if you hold the form will hold you. So the form is not a set of rules. My best definition of the form is this: the forms of our practice are strategies adopted by the senior practice leaders. Strategies to ensure we're creating an environment conducive to awakening. So today I want to share some things about the form in general and some thoughts on MLS practice forms in particular. First of all, there's no right or wrong form. The form varies from tradition to tradition of Zen and Buddhism, and our practice form is not intrinsically correct or better than any other practice form. It's just the form we adopt as a Sangha so that everyone knows what to do and when, so that we co-create the opportunity to awaken. Wow, that's what we're doing together, co-creating an opportunity to awaken. So the general forms of our practice are bowing, bells, drinking tea or coffee mindfully, sitting meditation, Dharma sharing, and the practice form of dedicating the merit. So the practice form of bowing. Since ancient times, bowing in Buddhism is a gesture of respect, humility, a gesture of recognition. It's also a practice of letting go. In bowing, we let go of our self-centeredness. When we bow, we stop whatever we're doing and thinking and come back to this present moment. In bowing to one another, we acknowledge one another's Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature is our true nature. And when we bow to one another as a practice, we're saying, the Buddha in me sees the Buddha in you. We awaken together. We're saying to one another, I'm here, I'm with you. When I bow with you, I see you. The form of the bell. It's really obvious that bells are very important in our tradition. We use bells to bring the Sangha back to present moment awareness. When we wake up the bell, we let those gathered know to stop and pay attention. And we invite 3 sounds of the bell to indicate the start of sitting meditation. And then we invite 2 bells to signal the end of meditation. And after those 2 bells at the end of meditation, we bow. Bowing and bells show up in almost every practice form. When we hear a bell, we practice this gatha. Listen, listen. This wonderful sound invites me back to my true home. From time to time, we invite a bell of mindfulness when we want to take a moment as a Sangha to recognize and acknowledge someone's suffering or difficulties. So there'll just be 1 bell to sit and be with that person or those persons in their difficulties. We also invite a bell to celebrate when someone has come through a period of difficulty successfully. The form of inviting bells. Every bell invites us into mindful presence. Every bell invites us into practice. So the form of drinking tea. Thai taught us that drinking tea is a meditation practice form that invites us to see the interbeing of all that is. In this cup of tea, I see the tea leaf. I see the soil in which the tea was planted. I see the sun imparting its energy to the tea plant. I see the cloud and the rain and the water in the stream watering the tea plants. I see the person who planted, watered, and harvested the tea plants. When we look deeply, we see the whole universe in this cup of tea. Drinking tea is a meditation practice form that invites us to see interbeing in real time. The practice form of sitting meditation. In Ron's beautiful invitation yesterday, he quoted Thai saying, "Keeping our minds present is the foundation of meditation practice." Keeping our minds present is the foundation of meditation practice. When we achieve this, we live our lives fully and deeply, Thai said. Sitting meditation is stopping, looking, stillness, silence and quiet, so that we can touch our true nature, our awakened nature. The practice form of Dharma sharing. That is simply speaking what is alive for us in our practice in this moment. We practice Dharma sharing after sitting meditation, and then again in the kitchen after we share the merit. Bowing again during Dharma sharing indicates that we want to share what's alive for us. And when the Sangha bows in return, we're saying, I give you my full attention. I'm listening deeply. Notice how the various practice forms are bowing, bells, Dharma sharing, sitting meditation. The practice form of dedicating the merit. I've had people ask me questions like, what does that mean? What are we doing there exactly? In Sanskrit and Pali, the word that translates as merit is a synonym for the word happiness. When we chant, may the merit of this practice benefit all beings and bring peace, we're saying the happiness and karma that arises from us having practiced together, may this happiness extend out to all beings. The Buddha told us that there are three things that create meritorious happiness in our life. Those three things are being generous, living a virtuous life, and meditating. So in meditating together for 25 minutes, we create a field of merit, a field of happiness. And it's our intention to share that happiness with all beings, with the whole world, with the whole universe. We dedicate the merit. So bringing it all together, all of the practice forms I've mentioned are, you can see that. So how do we show up for one another to support our individual and collective awakening? We conduct ourselves in the Zoom-do just as we would in person in a meditation hall at one of our monasteries. We conduct ourselves in the Zoom-do exactly as we would in a meditation hall, in a monastery, in person. We also conduct ourselves as if Thai or the Buddha himself were present. In fact, they are. So we arrive at least 5 minutes before the top of the hour. Why? In order to be settled and be still before meditation begins. When you arrive, I watched this is beautiful. When we arrive, many of us smile and bow to one another, connecting. This virtual Zoom-do is that 4.5 years ago we thought would be so impersonal, has become very personal. It's very intimate. So, please refrain from using the Zoom chat before meditation and during meditation. You wouldn't talk or chat with others in the meditation hall. And some tips on that. If you feel the urge to chat or check in with someone, just notice that urge. Be curious about that urge. Where in your body do you feel that urge to connect? That urge is not a bad urge. It's all about timing. So just let it be there. And watch how the urge dissipates. Even very quickly when you just hold the urge in mindfulness. That applies to any urge. So if you want to chat, please stay for a few minutes in the kitchen after practice. The kitchen is a great place to share and be heard, to listen and be taught by the wisdom of the Sangha. The kitchen is a great place to share and be heard. So please feel free to practice tea meditation right up until the formal meditation session begins. And I'll talk more about this in a moment. Each morning, for now 4 and almost a half years, each morning one of our practice leaders offers an invitation to our sitting meditation. Kathy offered a beautiful invitation this morning, just inviting us to enjoy our breathing. As some of you know, that I volunteer at a hospital as a chaplain, and I meet with the chaplains and on Monday mornings, and we do a meditation together. And I invited this group of mainly Christian chaplains, Catholics and Christians, and a couple of Jewish people. I invited them to practice enjoying their breathing, Kathy. And it was just a revelation to them. None of them had ever stopped to just enjoy their breathing. And it was so fun to watch how tickled they were just getting to do that together. So in offering the invitation, it is our intention to invite you into present moment awareness. It is not our intention to invite you into more thinking. So our invitations are clear and crisp, inviting you into an immediate, personal, and collective experience of awakening. Awakening together. And once a practice leader invites 3 bells to start meditation, be still. During meditation is not the time to be drinking anything. That's why we arrive 5 minutes early in time to arrange ourselves on the cushion or our chair and sip tea in meditation and settle. When we drink or move around during meditation, our concentration is dissipated. We're caught in desire or impulse and the fulfillment of that desire. Instead, just notice the impulse to have a sip of coffee or tea. Just notice the impulse arise, and notice how the impulse literally propels us into action without even thinking. However, if we don't succumb to the impulse, notice how empowered we feel. And then notice how the desire for a sip or to move or whatever just fades away and passes. In sitting meditation, we practice working with our desires and impulses on the cushion so that when those desires attempt to control us in our daily life, we see them for what they are: distractions, impulses. And we respond to those impulses in mindful awareness. Now, desires and impulses aren't bad in and of themselves. What's the harm in sipping our tea? Well, when our objective is to be settled in concentration, taking a sip of tea can distract us from our focus. And when we're sitting in the Zumdo, with 25 to 35 or today 40 of us, our movements may be distracting to others. I've observed that when one person takes a sip of tea, almost immediately someone else is taking a sip of tea, and then another person and another. So we don't want to be the reason that another person loses their concentration and mindful focus. So it's very important to note that some people have a physical condition that makes it impossible for them to sit still. Now that doesn't apply to most of us, but some of us can't sit still. If you're unable to sit still, or for some reason on a particular day you're unable to sit still, then please just turn off your video. Now that said, it's a beautiful thing that we are all sitting facing one another with our cameras on, enjoying each other's presence, looking to each other's faces. So don't turn your camera off if you don't have to. If you can sit still and be with us, keep that camera on. We want to see your face. We want to look into your eyes. So finally, our fur family is the exception. The fur family is the exception. We love them. We love having them here. It's a privilege when they join us. And unlike seeing someone sipping tea during meditation, when we see a fur baby's tail cross the screen, I doubt that it makes any of us, the rest of us, want to get up and wave our tail across the screen. So to review, our morning light practice forms are the practice form of bowing, the practice form of inviting bells, the form of mindfully drinking tea or coffee, or even water, the practice form of sitting meditation, the form of Dharma sharing at the end of sitting meditation and in the kitchen, and the practice form of sharing the merit. Now just to note, during Dharma sharing, I notice that it tends to be kind of the same group of us that bow in and share. Every single one of us is having a moment of awakening on the cushion. That's why we're here. So don't hold back, please. Bow in and share what's alive for you. Don't withhold your awakening from the community. I can't tell you how many times we hear someone say, wow, that sharing you gave was just what I needed to hear. So don't hold back, please. Please, those of you who don't share, please bow in and share. So the 10th mindfulness training of the Order of Inner Being begins aware that the essence and aim of the Sangha is the practice of understanding and compassion. Personally, my experience of the aim of the Sangha is awakening, sharing with one another that awakening is possible, personally and collectively. I'm here each morning to wake up. I'm here to wake up with you. I'm here with the intention of supporting your practice with my practice of holding the form. I'm here to share the joy of my awakening with you and receive with joy your awakening and your sharing of your awakening with me. Hold the form. Hold the form, and the form will hold you. When we all hold the form together, the form holds us.